691,294 naira, and an overhead of 358,799,998 naira. In the 2022 budget, which is before you for consideration, the aims and objectives of these proposals are to make significant progress on all ongoing projects and to complete and deliver modern railway services that will provide an efficient and cost-effective alternative transport system for economic growth and for the creation of job opportunities for the citizenry. Distinguished senators and honorable members, the development of the land and marine subsector will help government create employment, generate wealth, improve standard of living of our citizens, and grow the economy, while at the same time help in overcoming the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. To achieve the desired goals, government has prioritized the completion of ongoing railway projects and has equally commenced some new ones that will serve as a transportation backbone and hub for economic development. I'm happy to report to you that with the constant funding support provided, the Lagos to Ibadan segment of the Lagos to Kano Railway project and the Itape-Warri have been substantially completed. I think we should remove the word substantially and say have been completed. Flagged off for commercial operations and opened for passenger services. While commercial activities have received a boost along those corridors, new businesses are springing up with direct employment of over 500 skilled workers for the operations and over 1 million indirect employment and artisan workers. To reach practical completion on those projects, some aspects of works, including signaling and telecommunications, construction of overpass bridges, and other ancillaries have to be completed. Therefore, adequate funds need to be provided in the 2022 budget to facilitate the practical completion of the projects and prevent forestalling project implementation. Other prioritized railway and seaport projects ongoing and planned by the ministry include the construction of Kaduna-Kano railways to link up the Abuja-Kaduna rail line has commenced. Survey and design for Ibadan to Minna to Abuja is ongoing. Construction of the 284-kilometer Nigeria to Maradi, which is from Kano to Maradi, rail line, enabling interconnectivity with the countries in the West African sub-region for the promotion of trade and commerce. This important contribution by Nigeria will be mutually beneficial by adding to the economic growth of the two countries, Niger and Nigeria. Total rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri Eastern Narrow Gauge Rail Line, including a transshipment center as an integration with a deep-sea port in Bonny Island and a railway industrial park in Port Harcourt. Completion of the rail line from the nation's capital city, Abuja, to Itape, to Ajokuta, to the southern city of Warri, and branch lines to connect Lokoja. This is referred to as the Central Line, traversing the oil and mineral-rich region of Nigeria. Development of the Lagos to Calabar project, also known as Coastal Railway Project. In this regard, the Nigerian government is partnering with infrastructure development, finance institutions of the Chinese, Portuguese, and Turkish origins for possible sourcing of funds to implement the projects. The federal government will also, on its own part, provide counterpart funds to augment the loans for the development of railway infrastructure. To ensure finalizing and signing of the loan agreements, evidence of source of funding of the balance of the advance payment and other aspects of works to be financed directly by the federal government has to be made available to these financial institutions through adequate budgetary provisions in the year 2022 budget and subsequent yearly budgetary provisions. Let me use this opportunity to further emphasize to the esteemed committee that the ministry, as part of its mandate, has continued to pursue the implementation of government policies in the land transport subsector in Nigeria, including issues relating to the ECOWAS protocols and conventions entered into in respect of the subsector. We have focused majorly on completing the ongoing national freight offices at Ilela, Jibia, and Idiroko. In addition to other land transport projects, and with your support, the capturing of all these projects and programs as proposed before you in the 2022 budget will propel us further towards reaching the goals of the administration in the development of this subsector. You will find attached review of the Ministry's 2021 budget performance and 2022 budget proposal, respectively. Permit me at this juncture to express my profound appreciation to the chairman, distinguished senators, and honorable members of the Senate for standing and support. And I must say that if we have any...
And looking at your key railway projects, which you've highlighted from A to E, the Southeast is bigger than that of Maradi. I'm not even talking of South-South. So what policy guide, what need assessment, what study of federal character integration will make a Ministry of Transportation put 284 kilometers from the end of the north to Maradi, and we're reconstructing narrow gauge in the Southeast, South-South. This, to me, is part of why the integration in this country will always be a challenge, because things are done with so much impunity, things are done with so much, you can't do anything. This is our common money. So when we approve this budget, you go and do Maradi Road, Railway, and do a narrow gauge rehabilitation for the Southeast. My heart bleeds. No, let me finish my question. This has been a recurrent thing anytime you appear before us, Honorable Minister. And you are now giving us this as the way to enhance the economies of Niger and Nigeria. Why the economy of Nigerians, especially those who have the containers, who are always on the road, we are giving them narrow gauge rehabilitation. Chairman, I'm not sure, I hope you understood my question. I am a Nigerian.
Chairman, I also concur with...
Develop another country before develop our
Before
own.
you answer,
Let
him finish. No, I concur with you because we constantly challenge you. Why would you give us those in the eastern part of Nigeria from southeast, north central, northeast? You are giving us the archaic old model narrow gauge. Then you are now spending a lot of money to do modern, what do you call it? The modern gauge to other parts of the country. What is wrong with the southeast, north central, and northeast? Are we not Nigerians? Why should there be double standard in this matter? That's why we're quarreling. You have spent a lot of money to do Lagos Ibadan. You are not told that you are designing Ibadan to Abuja. You are doing Kaduna to Kano. You are doing Abuja to Itape to Wari. What's wrong with the southeast, north central, particularly the southeast, Benue, Plateau, Taraba, Bauchi, Gombe, Borno, and Adamawa? What's wrong with us? Are we not Nigerians? I completely concur with the Honorable Pat Osonde, 100%.
Let me say that I begin my statement by concurring with the chairman. They hate us. Why are you laughing? I'm from Ubima. I'm from Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt is the Ikwere. So they hate us. They hate you, me, you, all of us, all of us. No, people have standard gauge. People have standard gauge. Don't join us. They hate us. And how can we stay here with the minister from Port Harcourt and we're having narrow gauge when other parts of Nigeria are having standard gauge? But sir, it gets the point that you really have to be a man and make a decision. You really have to make a decision. And I plead that we don't use sentiments to judge economic issues. So let me put the issues before you. I wanted to put it before Asadu, Honorable Asadu, that I'm an Ikwere man, and that Port Harcourt is Ikwere. So when you say southeast, please remember that Ikwere is part of it, and the railway starts from Ikwere. From primary school, I was taught that charity does not begin anywhere. It begins at home. And I'm a Christian. Love your neighbor as yourself means that you will love yourself first before you love your neighbor. So I believe in that principle. Now, when you say you have to make economic decisions, and very hard decisions, the total cost for the construction of the, what do you call it, Eastern Line, it's called Eastern Line, which begins from Port Harcourt all the way to Borno, is about 14 billion, between $12 and $14 billion. If we start looking for the money now, two governments will come before you get that money. and you will say it's Amaechi that refused to give you railway. Because already as we're talking now, we don't even have the money to do Ibadan to Kano. That's why on our own, we are funding Kano to Kaduna while looking for the money. There's no money yet anywhere in the world. We are looking for 11.1 billion for Lagos to Calabar. We have not even seen. Do you want us to include you on that, of where we're searching for money, or be practical? And the way to be practical is to say to the federal government, okay, and that's, just like you're talking, that's what the president told me. He refused. He wants standard gauge from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. But when I laid the card on the table to explain to him that if we start looking for the money, we will not construct, to the president. When I laid the card on the table before the president, to explain to the president that if we start looking for the money, we'll go nowhere. So give me 2 approvals so that every part of the country will have rail line. Give me 2 approvals. The first approval you should give me is, give me approval to reconstruct, not rehabilitate, to reconstruct the narrow gauge. Then give me a second approval that enables me look for the $14 billion to construct standard gauge. So you have 2 approvals. Anyone I get money from, I will go ahead. But the one that is quicker to get money is $3.020 billion. Quicker. So that by the time you finish it, the rail is running while you are looking for money to construct standard gauge. But for Christ's sake, what's the argument about standard gauge? The difference is about 20 kilometers. It's speed. Whatever weight of cargo that narrow gauge will carry is the same weight of cargo that standard gauge will carry. The difference is speed and arrogance. So now, as a minister, my mind tells me you won't go home if you don't provide railway for your people. So I now say, okay, since it'll be difficult for me to get 14 or 12 billion, let me ask for the small one of 3 billion so that I can at least reconstruct this one to run between 80 and 100 kilometers. Standard gauge, for Christ's sake, is 120 kilometers. That's the difference. The same station you have in Lagos is the same station you have in Port Harcourt. It's the same station you have in Enugu, whether it is narrow or standard. It's the same station you have in Gombe, whether it is narrow or standard. So the difference is, if you take off from Lagos, you may get to Ibadan 20 minutes ahead of me, but I will get there. The difference is in mileage, 20 kilometers and 120 kilometers, 100 kilometers and 120 kilometers. Hold on, sir.
When did you start?
Joe, as I'm coming to that, I'm coming to Kano-Maradi.
Huh?
So I'm coming to Kano-Maradi.
When did you start to source that money?
Can I
continue about
this issue of Kano-Maradi? Kano-Maradi is 20 kilometers into Maradi. The rail takes you to Jibia. Jibia into Maradi is 20 kilometers. So what's this about? Is Honorable Assad telling me that we should not give Kasena, Daura, Jibia, where are the villages? Duse, Kano, we should not give them railway? Because all these things about Kano-Maradi, you've forgotten there are other communities. And that the only community in Niger is 20 kilometers from Jibia. So if we remove 20, okay, no problem, we'll remove Maradi. So we'll not say Kano, Jibia, so will you take me to court for constructing railway for Nigerians in Kano, Jibia? No, because when you hear Kano-Maradi, it's as if, when you hear Kano-Maradi, I've not finished that. When you hear Kano-Maradi, it's as if,
please, if you cannot get money for standard gauge for the whole country, you can get for narrow gauge for southeast, south-south, north-central, northwest, and northeast. And you can get for standard for the other areas where they'll be doing 120 kilometers per hour. Why won't you go for the one that you cannot afford if the difference is just 20 kilometers? Because what you are planting, beyond me and you sitting here, is that if I'm a trader anywhere and I hear that they're doing standard gauge in one part of the country and doing narrow repair and all that, you still give a feeling of this is not universal. What I'm saying is, since borrowing the 14 billion for the southeast and the rest is impossible, why wouldn't we go for narrow gauge so we all develop equally? Because that is one, not just in name. You could smile, you could take it serious, but I do not see myself sit down here and be approving a budget to do a rail to Maradi on a standard gauge and do a narrow gauge for the eastern flank.
I don't think, Honorable. I first said that there's an approval to do both standard gauge and narrow gauge. And that as a man who makes decision, we may not get the money to do the standard gauge. So let me at least have narrow gauge before I leave. Whoever becomes minister after me can proceed, just like we are going to reconstruct Lagos to Kano narrow gauge. Sir, I hope I have the floor, sir. Yeah, you have the floor. Now, I was saying to you, sir, that the cost of construction of Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is $3.020 billion. The cost of construction of Kano-Maradi is $1.9 billion. 1.9. It's easier to raise 1.9 than to raise 14 billion. Yesterday, I had a meeting in my office. We are finding it difficult to raise the money for Lagos, Calabar, which goes through all the South states. Because, why? 11 billion. There's nowhere in the world they have $11 billion contract. Anywhere, please call me. Let's go and see the place. So the funders are telling us, look, you need to break this thing into 4. Do this one for 2 years, do this one for 3 years until you get all the money. Now, for us, it is not as if this government has not approved standard gauge for Port Harcourt, Maiduguri. But what is politically, practically possible is that they must have railway before we leave. Or if they don't have it, they must see that we're constructing before we leave, which we have started already. We have started Port Harcourt, Maiduguri. Now, to do that, we have to first do what I think is practicable. What is that? Let's reconstruct the old one while looking for money for the new one. I thought that should please Honorable Asadu. Then, finally, like I said, it would be wrong for Honorable Asadu to say, since we have narrow gauge, give narrow gauge to everybody. It is the famous, what do you call it, Periwinkle Kingdom. If it's not me, it won't be the rest. It is important to repeat to the House that I come from Ikwere and that Port Harcourt is Ikwere, and that I will not deliberately undo my people. And that we have an approval to do a standard gauge from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, but if you have where we can get the money, please come forward, I will go and borrow. Thank you, sir. And to repeat that Kano to Maradi is just 20 kilometers from Jibia into Maradi, and that 20 kilometers of this is not up to $100 million.
I will ask you, if it took you 6 years to complete, Lagos, Ibadan, is there any hope that you will ever do Ibadan to Kano? I asked you the same question last year, and the answer you gave me, I remember, was that you are going to mobilize, you are going to create groups. You say you about create 3-4 groups that will quickly finish the road within a short time. I don't know whether you still stand by that. And if you stand by that, what is the hope? When do you think you can complete this road, the railway line from Ibadan to Kano?
Okay, sir. Global freeze on debt. Global freeze. At the time I was responding to you, I was believing that the Chinese government will give us money, all the money we needed. And we believe that if we got all the money we needed, the same time it took you to complete a gang, at the same time you will complete the other gang if you fund them equally. So, unfortunately, the chairman is listening to a beautiful woman. So, chairman, so the problem we have now, just like we started Kano Kaduna, if there was money, the time we started Kano Kaduna is the same time we have started Ibadan to Mina and Mina to Abuja. Unfortunately, we are having problem in getting money. So what one is doing is we are looking for funds for Kano-Maradi, we are looking for funds for Port Harcourt Maiduguri, we are looking for funds for Kano Kaduna, and we are looking for funds for Lagos Calabar, and we are looking for funds for Ibadan to Abuja. And we have not gotten any. We are close to getting the following. We are negotiating the loan for Port Harcourt Maiduguri. We have actually applied. The lenders are talking with us. We are negotiating the loan for Kano-Maradi. We are almost concluding that. We are negotiating the loan for Kaduna Kano, we're negotiating the loan for Lagos Calabar. We believe, with the help of the chairman of the committee on loans, if we get approval, some of these loans may fall through before the end of the year. We are just waiting for the approval of the National Assembly. In fact, if anybody is supposed to complain in this place today, it is us, the South-South people. Why should it be South-South? Up till now, the National Assembly has not approved the loan request for Lagos Calabar. And if we don't get the loan request approval, the implication is that nobody will go to site until we get the loan request for Lagos Calabar. We have approval for Port Harcourt Maiduguri. We have approval for Kano-Maradi. We have approval for Lagos Kano. But there's no approval for Port Harcourt, for Lagos Calabar. So if there's anybody who's supposed to complain today, and the central alliance, if there's anybody who's supposed to complain today, it's we, the South people, because we have been cheated. We're waiting for the National Assembly to approve before we can go approach the fund market. So, sir, please help us by telling the National Assembly not to ignore us, the South people. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.